Hey folks, fWhip here, and welcome back to another second channel video here with our second round of our comment and question of the day. I've got 3 amazing comments to respond to today, so please be sure to leave a like if you haven't already, subscribe if you're new to fWhip too, and let's get rocking. Look at the tree. Oh, I can finally say look at the tree. Oh, I love it. It's done. We did it. The tree's built. Go watch that video first if you haven't. Question number 1 coming in from Charlie. When do you think you're going to be done with New Papyrus? And do you think you will ever grow out of playing Minecraft? If so, why? I'm going to talk about this a lot more in a video coming up on the main channel, but I don't think I'll ever consider projects done in Minecraft. I play a very long-term format for my Minecraft worlds, as I don't like to restart often, unless I have to, like a hardcore death-causing restart. Which at that point, I'll be honest, I do like that forced reason as a content creator to say, you know what, it's time for a new Minecraft world. And I'm happy to say my Minecraft skills have gotten pretty good. So, you know, we've survived 5,000 days now. And I think we've put a lot of time and effort in over the last 2 years into this world. So I'm really happy with it. And I really want to keep seeing where we can go with that. That being said, as we started the New Papyrus project on the grounds of taking a break from the old world building, I'm now feeling ready to jump back into those original projects, and the grind behind the desert is really starting to show for me. So right now, with the village being complete, seems like a great stopping point to move back over to the capital city and work on the old region of the world some more, as that's kind of where the inspiration is currently taking me. Who knows, I might be back over in the desert in a few weeks, but I might also want to start a new project somewhere else. Eventually, we will be back over in the New Papyrus region to start the city build and continue working on that project, as I really want to see how much my building skills have grown since the original Papyrus build. But I don't want to burn myself out, so when the inspiration is taking me in a different direction, I think that's the healthiest way to go, is just to follow that. Now, for the second part of this question, who knows? I might grow out of playing Minecraft. I would be surprised if I play this game for my entire life. I don't see it happening anytime soon, as I absolutely love building this game, and I love the process of just creating, and I really love creating content here on YouTube on Minecraft. For me, I've always been the kid that's just building things for my entire life, especially when I was little. I would just sit in front of a Lego bin for hours and hours making anything I could think of. Minecraft has just kind of become the next evolution of that creative outlet for me. I still enjoy building Legos every once in a while, but I definitely don't do it as often as I used to. So I wouldn't be surprised if something else replaces Minecraft for me in the future as kind of that next evolution of my preferred form to creatively express myself and whatever I want to build and create. I love working in a 3D space and kind of seeing what I can come up with and seeing where I can grow my skills there. So if something were to replace Minecraft down the way, that's just the route it's going to go. I absolutely love being here on YouTube, so I have no plans to be stopping that, and I definitely want to keep creating Minecraft more. But, you know, if something else came out in the future and kind of replaced Minecraft as that big, creative, survival, open world game, like if Hytale were ever to release and it turns out to be as good as everybody's hoping it will be, maybe that's something that replaces this for me. But who knows? As of right now, I have absolutely no plans to replace this or any time in the future. It'll just be something that naturally happens over time. It's never going to be something that I'm actively planning, I think. Question number 2 coming in here from Mad Mountain. Having seen you tackle epic project after epic project, I'd love to hear you speak on how the effort required to realize a project factors into your decision to take it on. For starters, this really varies on each project I'm working on, as there's so many different steps to each individual project. But I think the best way to talk about this is the form of how I structure videos, as that kind of guides everything. I like to theme my videos, if I can, around something Minecraft based, as I need to make a video that will get clicks. It needs to be something that'll appear on people's search lists. So maybe that's a village, a town, a city, a castle. So usually if I find I want to work with villagers or make a redstone farm or a way to farm or store a specific material, I kind of start with that as the base idea. Then when I have that idea down, I break it down into a few steps from there. If a redstone farm is involved, that's usually step 1 of what farm am I actually going to build? How do I need to design it? And do I need to build any other farms to be able to get the resources to make the big one? Like maybe a source of bone meal to power an auto tree farm or crop farm or something along those lines. Then if the focus of the video is the farm, I really try to hide all of my farms within builds so that they look nice and are on theme for the world. But for the sake of time on videos, I might leave that for future me. I'm looking at you, Bone Meal Farm. But if the farm is the main topic for the video, the next step is really about building something to house the farm inside, focusing on access to the storage inputs and outputs, and a way to get access to work on the farm if it does break, or if I just need to get back into the inner working redstone bits. Now, when designing builds, I really try to stick to the player scale and add in a lot of shapes to make that happen. I usually pick an angle that I want the thumbnail shot to be from and really focus on making that something I can use and will be interesting to look at. Now, for the Minecrafty sake, I first and foremost am a builder, so I focus on the in-game building result, what it's going to look like, over functionality. If I ruin the rates of a farm for the sake of something looking better, I'm going to do that every single time, because that's how I like to play this game. Now, a lot of my building starts over in a creative copy of the world or a flat world, where I plan out the base shapes of the building using concrete with a lot of bold colors, usually orange, yellow, red, and light blue concrete, something that I rarely, if ever, use in a final copy of a build. I might use the powders, but I'm not going to use the concretes, and that's really important for the world edit steps later when I come back into texturing. But once the shape looks good, I do come back in to kind of start that next stage of the texturing, where during this phase, I'm going to alter the shape a ton even more, with adding in a lot of things like our slabs, our stairs, and our walls to just define the shapes and smooth things out with way too many spruce trapdoors, as we do every single time. But I find just getting something down on the canvas or in the world and then molding it from there always helps me a lot more, instead of staring at the empty blank space and being like, where is that first block going to go, and it needs to be perfect. If I focus on that, I'm never going to do anything, so I just start placing blocks down and see what happens from there. And if it looks terrible, at least I got the ideas down and I can kind of modify from there if I need to fully restart, which I will say happens quite often. There's a lot of builds that I get halfway through designing, I'm like, this is terrible, this is not something I'm going to enjoy, and I scrap the entire thing and restart. But I did learn something along the way of what I don't want, and that's almost as important as learning what you do want in your build. Now, when texturing, I try to focus on how difficult the blocks are to gather, as I do need to make this in survival, and if I have them on hand already, that can help kind of ease the process forward or move it forward. I try to actively pick a few blocks that I do need to go out and gather that I don't have in my storage, so I can get footage out of the action of me actually playing Minecraft, because the goal is to make an entertaining video. And I think showing the process of gathering everything looks a lot better than just walking into a storage room and say, hey, and then I picked up a blah, 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 blah out of the chest here and we're good to go. And then it also helps ease a lot of those comments of people saying I'm cheating, because no matter what I do, I'm going to be getting a lot of those. And if I can actually show me going out into the world and have the stats of just crazy numbers mining blocks, that helps give me a little bit of a rebuttal back at that. And I just like having that in my back pocket to pull it out when I need to. Now, once all the materials are gathered, I try to block out the main structure first and get the staircases in or ladders in so I can move around more easily instead of having to rely on the elytra to get up and down. Especially if it's a build where I need to be stripping logs as I'm going. I've kind of started just stripping them beforehand for safety reasons, but if I don't and I'm just building and stripping them as I go, that usually means I don't have a totem in my offhand for the sake of doing it quicker. So at that point, I really like to have the chest piece on just for the extra protection where I can, making sure, you know, the build isn't so high that I'll fall and die and need the elytra to fly away. But that continues on until the final results that you all see in the videos. My goal is to upload weekly, which means I do need to scale projects around being completed in a week or under that, and I might not be the best at that, but I'm trying to be a lot more consistent. Just ignore that the tree video took 3 weeks to make. Yeah, we're just gonna move on to question number 3 from Xandro. The village looks great. It looks so much better than old papyrus, and old papyrus looked good. How do you come up with the shapes for the buildings? I always struggle to come up with an interesting shape for buildings, so I usually spend much of my time building just to come up with a more interesting shape. Now, kind of this one builds off of the last question, as it really comes down into the planning phase. When I'm blocking things out with concrete is really where I do most of the time of messing with the shape of buildings. Pushing a wall in, or maybe pushing it a block out, maybe extending a tower up or down a block or two, just whichever way looks good. Even trying a circle instead of a square tower, or whatever shape you want to throw in there. Anything and everything can be modified constantly, and that goes pretty much until I like the result. I might not not love the result, but I like the result enough to move forward. Your base shape doesn't have to be perfect. You can keep modifying as you go. Even in survival, it's just a little quicker to modify in creative. Now, I think a general rule of thumb here, though, is if your base shape of a single color looks interesting, the chance of the build being good is so much higher because you've already had step one completed of the shape. The shape just looks good. But let's talk a little bit on how to pick those base shapes itself. Just think of the different options you have. You have squares, you have rectangles, you have circles, you have triangles, you have different slopes that you include all of those. Just go back to your geometry class and you'll find a bunch of shapes that you can throw in here. Now, taking every single shape you can think of, you can just start adding those in together, intersecting them, cutting them through each other, cutting them out of a different shape, whatever you want to do, just give it a shot and try it out. Every build can be broken down to some basic shapes. If you take a moment to look at things that you've made or what other people have made and maybe just take a screenshot of it and draw over the top and trying to cut out the different shapes that they might throw in there, you can see how it was put together, mixing different shapes together, different sizes of them works really well together. Like a rectangle and a square can be added together to create an L-shaped building, where then you could add a circle off of one of the corners to have a tower sticking up out of that. Then you have the long side of the rectangle. Well, maybe we take that and add in a small section sticking out to create a chimney. Then bam, no more flat wall on there. If you're still not a fan of that, maybe you can extend the rectangle up to have a second floor so it's taller than the square. Or maybe you move both of them up and add another square extending off one of the ends to add in another room or maybe an outdoor work area that's just covered with a little awning above it. Just keep experimenting and building up your toolkit of different building options that you know work together, and over time that process is going to speed up a lot. But you do have to spend a lot of time learning and kind of building up that repertoire or that toolkit of just different things you can call on and be like, hey, I like how this worked last time when I built this building over in New Papyrus in the village. I like the shape of that. Maybe if I just take the base shape of it and plop a new roof on with a different arch and things like that, I might be able to work it into the medieval city that I'm working on. It'll end up as a completely different result, but the same base shape is in there. So you can take a lot of ideas that you've previously had and extend them into your new builds and still make it feel totally different really, really easily just by adding those different shapes in together or maybe taking one away. That being said, I typically spend a good few hours designing each build, and it's not that quick for me either. A lot of that is off-cam time spent in the creative world just testing things out. So if you want to see the full creative process happening and kind of how I do all of that, we do some designing on streams every once in a while, and you'll be able to get a full idea of how I create things in this block game. But hopefully that gives you a better idea of kind of the process that I go through for a lot of those things. The Star Trader airship, for example, there we did design the original copy on stream, and then I did modify it just a touch to something that was new as I wanted to try a new idea out. But I sat on that thing for well over a month from when it was originally designed to when I finally came back in and modified the thing. And all I did was literally just change the front there, and it created a whole different vibe for it. And I really love the result now. The first one I was okay with, and I just needed to sit on it, let it sit in the back of my brain for a while. And I was like, ooh, I've got an idea. But that's going to do it for today, my friends. I hope you did enjoy. Be sure to leave a like on this if you want to see more comment of the days for the hardcore series. Subscribe to fWhip too so you don't miss out on any future ramblings of me here. And I'll catch y'all on the fWhip side.